Justin. This is Rick.
I'm Rick.
Yeah, there's no other thing to say about that. And here we are with Mr. Ron MARZ.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
How's it going,
You bet.
man? How's the show going for you so far?
It's strangely it's crowded. People showed up.
Yeah, people showed up.
It's like ants crawling out there. I like it up here better. It's nice and it's calm. It's quiet.
We're eagles looking down on the tiny people.
Well, you've got some big stuff coming up with Witchblade.
I'm going back to Witchblade with issue 170, which should be out last week of October. After my last issue was 150. Took a break for a while. Tim Seeley came on and did his run, which I thought was really cool. Tim did a Tim Seeley kind of run, which is exactly what you're supposed to do when you come onto a book. And then they invited me back, and we're going to do some different stuff. I don't want to just go back to the book and hit the reset button. We're going to do different stories, different settings. It'll be the same general vibe that I did with Witchblade previously, but it'll be Sarah Pazzini, but she'll be in a different place and have different stuff going on in her life. And we have a new artist on the book named Laura Braga, who is an Italian woman that I discovered her work on Twitter.
Wow.
So it serves a purpose.
She popped up, yeah. I mean, get on Twitter, kids. It'll get you a job in comics. No, I saw her work on Twitter, and I was really impressed. And we struck up a correspondence. So when this Witchblade opportunity came around, I kind of went to Top Cow and went, how about her? She's really good.
Here are all my Twitter followers. Find an artist in there.
So coming back to Witchblade, though, how do you feel coming back after 20 issues? I mean, did you sort of write it off when you left?
Yeah, I mean, it's like breaking up with a girlfriend. It stings for a
It's
while.
feel weird to come back.
It stings for a while, but then you move on, and then the opportunity came up to come back to it, and frankly, I felt like I hadn't said everything I had to say about Sarah as a character, and I really adored writing her. And I think I've probably written more issues of Witchblade and spin-off titles than I have any other book. Even Green Lantern, I think I did 75 issues. So.
Oh wow.
So there were still stories to tell, and it was kind of like putting on a ratty old sweatshirt. It felt really good. It was comfortable immediately.
So it was like getting back with an ex-girlfriend and putting on a ratty sweatshirt.
Exactly.
It was like meeting a girl dressed poorly and falling back in love.
If she'll have me.
That's nice.
She'll have me in my ratty sweatshirt.
Yeah.
So,
baby, come back.
What about I've lost the Ravine.
Ravine.
It's hard. It's a horrible. There's no segue that you can get from Baby Come Back.
Oh, we'll edit all that out.
Well, you don't want to have to pay the license fee on that. So just edit that out.
Oh, it's just 3 seconds. I think it'll be fun.
Fair usage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just fair enough. And the way I sing is bad enough that no one would ever claim that I'm singing an actual song. But the Ravine, your fantasy.
Ravine is a series of fantasy graphic novels I'm doing with Stjepan Sejic, who I did a bunch of issues of Witchblade with. And it's a fantasy, it's the big fat fantasy. It's the George R.R. Martin, J.R.R. Tolkien kind of stuff that we can actually see in movies now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do a bit of that in a comic with a big cast and dragons and magic and all the stuff that you expect in a fantasy series. And first volume came out in February. It was 160 pages. We're doing them as original graphic novels rather than individual issues because we felt like the story demanded to be told in a big chunk rather than 20-page increments. Even though we're probably cutting our noses off to spite our face financially by not doing individual issues. But we're doing them as OGNs. First one came out in February. We sold through the print run. There's now a second printing of that that is hitting stores now. And the second volume will be out probably in a month or so, middle of November. As soon as we can button up the last few pieces of it and get it off the press. It's a big chunk of work when you sit down to do a 160-page book.
Yeah.
I know that when we sit down to polish it, that's 2 weeks out of my life where I don't do anything else.
Right, and the artist is painting it.
Yeah, he's actually painting it faster than I can write it. So that's not that's not a lie. He is so incredibly fast and so incredibly good at what he does. It's baffling to me. He and I just did a story for the Skull Kickers book in Jim Zub's Skull Kickers for Image, and we really kind of ran too close to the deadline. So when push came to shove, I had to write the 7-page story in a day, and then hand it to Stjepan, and he painted it in a day and a half, all 7 pages, and we had it lettered on the 4th day, and then it went off to press.
That's amazing. Wow. That's a comics of the future, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
that's also just not how to do comics in the best way.
Yes, kids, don't do 7 pages in a day and a half. Yeah. Don't do this at home.
This interview is full of bad tips right here.
Right.
Well, a while back we got together and we were talking about The Protectors, the book with Israel Adanje. Mm-hmm. However, he was a Bear. Now he's with a different team. What's going on with the book? Does his changing teams affect anything? What's going on?
The main thing that it affects is that my kids no longer root for the Bears. They now root for the Lions, which is where Izzy signed as a free agent in the off season. So we don't really care if the Bears win anymore. Such is life.
Yeah, I know. Allegiance. So much of football fandom is based on comic book work.
It's true. It's true.
And so that happens.
But in terms of the book, we're just puttering along doing our thing. We have the great boon of being able to just sit down and do the book. Myself, Bart Sears is penciling it, Mark Pennington's inking it, and we have a colorist from India actually named Niraj Menon who is doing an awesome job coloring it. So we're continuing to do the book. We've got almost all 5 issues done at this point of the first story arc, and then we'll place it with a publisher and it'll be out at some point next year. But it's actually the to me the best way to do a book is we've got a little bit of extra time. There's no deadline hanging over our heads that is demanding we get the book out every month. The clock hasn't started yet. Really, we're working on it steadily, but we're not cutting corners to make sure that we can make the publishing date. Since we don't have a firm publishing date yet, we can take a little bit of extra time and make sure it's perfect.
That's great. I've got to say, you definitely work with everyone you work with has an interesting name. All of the names you said are awesome.
Well, look, this is the actual career advice. If you're going to be a writer, work with the best artist you can find because you're going to ride that artist's coattails as long as you can. In comics, your story is only as good as the art that's with it. That's the God's honest truth. If I write an awesome script and they give it to a lousy artist, that ends up as a lousy story.
Right.
So I tend to work with guys that I'm comfortable with, guys that I've worked with before, and guys that I know what the project is going to look like at the end. And this is a job, and it can be a really fun job if everything clicks. And more often than not, you want everything to click.